Hey you guys, so today I'm going to be doing a review and a demo slash my foundation routine featuring the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, which is something that I'm so in love with it. So if you guys want to know about this foundation and my thoughts on it, then let's get into it. Alright, so this is what the bottle looks like. It's pretty nice and heavy duty. The one thing that kind of sucks about it is that it doesn't have a pump, which honestly I don't really care that much about, but a lot of people do. I just like to kind of put it on the back of my hand like this, just tap out a little bit. I usually use about, probably not that much, I kind of went crazy. By the way, I am in the shade 1N1 Ivory Nude, so I just like to put it on in dots like this around my face. Just kind of make sure that I get all the areas that I want to cover. And the kind of brushes that I like to use most for this foundation are either a stippling brush like this or a buffing brush like this. I've been using this foundation for about a week now, so I have tried it with a sponge and all sorts of different kind of brushes and my fingers, and I found that these two are my favorite brushes to use to apply it. This is a medium to full coverage foundation, and you can build it up, so you can put more than one layer on and it'll kind of increase the coverage that you get. But even though this is a full coverage foundation, I don't feel like it feels like one. Like, it doesn't feel cakey on my skin like a lot of other full coverage foundations have. I know this gets compared to Revlon Color Stay quite a bit, and I didn't like the Color Stay as much. It felt a lot cakier and just more heavy on my skin. So even though this is super full coverage, if you want it to be, it feels really light on your skin and it just feels really natural, which is nice. So this is what that first layer of dots looks like after I blend it in with my stippling brush, and I still have this much product left on my hand, so that really wasn't a lot that I put on my skin. So if you want, I mean, there are still some spots on my face that are showing through that I want to cover more, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit more in those areas. And I found that I kind of like to dab it on underneath my eye because it does do quite a good job of covering the dark circles without a concealer, but I still do use concealer because, you know, gotta do what you gotta do. And I have really dry skin around my nose and around this part of my face, and most foundations kind of like cling to the dry patches of my face, but this doesn't at all, which is awesome. And I am partially oily as well, like around my forehead area, and it doesn't really slide around in that area too much, and that might be because I set it with a powder afterwards, but this also dries like a powder foundation, which is nice. So in my experience, it is pretty good for both oily and dry skin. Alright, so I just quickly did my eyebrows because my hair is like, I just dyed it darker, and let's be honest, it's a little bit creepy to see myself with dark hair and light eyebrows, so I had to get that out of the way. Alright, so this is what it looks like when I have my foundation on, and this is before I've applied concealer or anything like that. So I'm going to do a zoom in and let you guys check out my skin all up close and personal. Let's do it. Even though it's a medium to full coverage foundation, it does a pretty good job of covering those like red spots and blemishes and whatnot, but I still have a few things like this and this area up in here that I want to cover with concealer just because I want to hide them like as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Also going to do the under eyes because they need a little help. Come on. So I went ahead and put some concealer on those spots, and I used a lighter concealer to highlight my face just because I feel like sometimes in certain light this shade looks a little bit too dark for my skin, so I like to kind of even that out with a lighter concealer. And like I said before, this does dry matte and pretty powdery for a liquid foundation, so if you have dry skin, then I wouldn't suggest setting it with a powder unless you want to, but if you have oily skin, I would probably set it with a powder just because it's going to help it stay in place even longer than it actually does, which is a really long time. And I always feel most comfortable if I set my under eye concealer and kind of T-zone area with the powder, so I'm just going to do that really quick. And I'm just using the Rimmel Stay Matte powder, and it's translucent. So just setting that concealer. I found that if you put too much powder over this foundation, it starts to look a little bit too powdery and kind of flat, but this foundation on itself does dry matte, but at the same time it kind of keeps your skin looking nice and healthy. Alright, so I just finished pretty much my entire foundation routine. I put some contour and blush and highlight on. So this is what the finished product looks like when I'm all done with my face. Obviously I haven't done my eyes, but you know, not the point of the video. So I really do like that this dries powdery because you don't have to set your whole entire face with powder unless you want to, but it just makes it easier to kind of, if you're using like powder, contour, and blush, then you can just put it right on top of the foundation after you give it a couple minutes to dry and it doesn't get all muddy on your face. Overall, I really love this foundation, and it is probably one of the best I've ever tried, if not the best. I've tried like Makeup Forever HD foundation and I did like it, but it was kind of too heavy on my skin. And my favorite part about this foundation is that it is full coverage, but it doesn't feel like it, and it doesn't necessarily look like it. I mean, it does a really good job of like covering spots and giving your skin an overall like equal, nice looking tone, but it doesn't look like you just slapped 5 pounds of makeup on your face. And another great thing about this is that it stays in place pretty much all day. Like, I've heard people say that about this foundation, and I was kind of skeptical about it because for me, I'm like one of those people that it's a really bad habit, but when I'm doing something, I absentmindedly just like touch my face and I'll go and, how long has this hair been on my chin? The first day I used it, I remember I was so amazed. This was like a week ago because I checked back and looked in the mirror like 12 hours later after I applied it, and it looked almost as good as it did when I first put it on in the morning. So this really does have a great staying power, and I don't even touch it up throughout the day. It just looks great by the end of the day, and it's awesome. So overall, all in all, let's wrap it all up. I really love this foundation. It is probably my favorite that I've ever tried. This is $37 for 1 fluid ounce, which might seem kind of expensive because it kind of is, but it is a really great foundation, and to me it's worth it. So I give it like a 9.5 out of 10 overall. Alright, so that's it for the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation review and demo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys will have made up your mind about this, whether you want to try it or not. I say go for it. And if you have any questions about anything that I've said in this video, then go ahead and leave them down in the comment section and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later.